How do I make sure my Slack messages go to the right place? Hi, this is Eliot from Workload. In this video, we'll be building a workflow starting with a new mention in Slack. Then we'll be taking that information and interpreting it with the AI wizard by Workload. Then we'll be setting up a filter for those messages and then sending the contents of those messages to either Google Sheets, Gmail, or Tasks. Let's build a workflow. So we're going to start here at the workload editor, and we'll give our workflow a title, Slack mention tree. And I'm going to select my trigger by clicking in the trigger box. This is going to be in Slack. And the event is going to be a new mention. I'm going to make sure I'm signed into Slack. If you have any questions signing into the apps we use in this workflow, please read the blog in the description of this video. The keyword I want to search for is at and then my name. So this workflow is going to find any mention in Slack of my name. And we'll test our trigger. So we have a response. This one is about chicken duty and the responsibilities I have of taking care of the chickens. So what we're going to do is use the AI wizard by Workload to sort out these messages into 3 different categories. So I'm going to click on the Tools button and then select the AI wizard by Workload. And the event is going to be prompt your data. The input data is going to come from the text. We're also going to include the username because that might help the AI to interpret the message. And the prompt I'm going to paste in. And you can see this prompt is kind of big and includes a lot of details. And what it's doing is it's taking information from the trigger and it's classifying this message into 3 categories. It's either a task, if the message contains a direct request to perform work, a question, if the message contains a literal question mark or begins with an interrogative word or phrase, or it can be an FYI, if it's any other message that just has facts in it. And then we're going to use those different categories to determine where that message gets sent. And we've included specific examples to give AI an idea of how we want it to answer the question of which category this goes into. This exact workflow will be in the description of this video. So you can use this template and use this exact prompt in order to build your own workflow. So we're going to go ahead and test this action. Hopefully it determines this to be a task, right? Because we have duties about what to do with chickens. So we'll test this action. And it did. It put it in the category of task. It gave us a short summary and a checklist of the task's steps. So that's perfect. It interpreted that first message the way we want. So I'm going to click continue. So we're going to add another step. And in fact, we're going to end up branching that step off by clicking this add path button. We're going to do it one more time. So we're going to have 3 different paths coming out of this AI step. And we're going to set up some filters to determine where that data goes. So we just had a task created. So we'll set up that first. We'll click in one of our action boxes and we're going to select Google Tasks. The event is going to be to create a task. Make sure I'm connected to Google. The task list I want to add this task to is my tasks. The title is going to come from that step 2 check chicken duty. Sure. The notes are going to be the checklist. And we'll click continue. So we don't have a due date specified in our message. And we'll test this action. It looks like we have a success. I can peek over at Google Tasks really quickly and added check chicken duty to my task list. I only want the category of tasks to be created as tasks in Google Tasks. So I'm going to add a filter. Click on the plus sign and select filter. I'm going to choose the field from our step 2. If the category equals task, then that's going to send our details to create a Google task. So now if we come back up to our trigger, come down here and test the trigger again, I can find a different mention that'll help me set up the other categories. So mention number 2, it is supposed to rain on Friday. So that should just be an FYI, not an actionable task or a question that needs to be answered. So I'm going to use this mention to set up our other category of action. We'll go ahead and run it through the AI wizard again. Test this action. And it listed the category as FYI, which is great. So we'll click continue. This is going to be in Google Sheets. So we're just going to categorize our FYI Slack mentions. We're going to create a spreadsheet row. Make sure we're connected to Google. The spreadsheet that we want to update is our Slack FYIs, sheet 1. And I'm going to map the information one column at a time. So for a column name, channel, go to our step 1 here. The name is the test channel. We're going to add 2. The user who sent this message, coming from step 1, June from HR. Add 2. The raw text from that first step. It's supposed to rain on Friday. The AI summary is going to come from step 2 there. Not really much to summarize. In this situation, it was the whole message. And finally, the AI category, which is FYI. So we'll click continue. We'll test this action. And we have a success here. Can look over at my spreadsheet. And that information was just added to the spreadsheet. We'll click back over to the workload editor. We'll set up a filter for this category. If the category equals FYI, then it'll send to that Google Sheet. And for our last action, we'll go back to Slack again, test the trigger, and we have a question. How many eggs are in a dozen? Click continue here. We'll use our AI wizard to interpret that message. And we can see the category is a question. So then we'll come to our third step, and we'll set this up in Gmail. And the event will be to send an email. I'm going to send this email to myself. Eliot@workload@gmail.com. I'm going to copy that, and that's also going to be the from email address and the reply to. The from name, we'll just say Slack mention. The subject will be the title here, count eggs in a dozen, and the body will come from the original trigger, how many eggs are in a dozen. We'll click continue. We'll test this action. And we have a success. If I look over in my inbox, now we have that new message from me, count eggs in a dozen, how many eggs are in a dozen. So we can come back over to the workload editor. We got to add our filter for this step. If the category equals question, it'll send to my Gmail. So now we have our whole workflow set up. So now I can activate my workflow, and every time I get a new @Eliot mention in Slack, the AI wizard will interpret that information and either send it to Google Tasks, Google Sheets, or Gmail, depending on the category. That's how you can use the AI wizard by Workload to interpret your Slack messages and send them to the right destination. Please join the Workload community by commenting on this post with any questions you might have or suggestions for future videos. You should also like this video and click here to subscribe to our channel, or click here to get more content from Workload about how to make your business practices more smoothly. And I'll see you next time.